Hey there everybody, welcome back to the Messy Cook. So I got home from work a few minutes ago. It's currently about 5 o'clock. And today I'm going to make an easy weeknight meal. So this is something you can start an hour and a half before you want to eat. I'm making, you can see I have some fresh tomatoes. These are leftover aromas from my garden, and I have some cherry tomatoes. I'm going to be making a roasted tomato sauce. And this is super simple recipe. Anybody can do this with any types of tomatoes. You can use Romas, you can use cherries, you can use a jar of stewed tomatoes, diced stewed tomatoes, regular sandwich tomatoes, whatever you like. This happens to be what I have. So I'm going to add some bunch of ingredients, not too much. This is very simple ingredients together. I'm just going to chop these Romas here in quarters and drop them in the pan, or quarters, or about good 1 inch pieces. Now Romas tend to be a little bit more meaty tomatoes, so it is nice to do this, but that's okay. It doesn't matter what type you use. So I'm going to chop all these up and throw in my cherry tomatoes, because that seems to be what I have left from my garden. I pulled mostly everything out except for the herbs last weekend, and yeah, I want to try to use up the last of what we have and not waste anything. So I'm going to continue chopping these and get them all in the pan, and we'll show you the next step. Okay, so I chopped up these tomatoes. I've taken about 6 or 7 cloves of garlic. We are garlic lovers in this family. You can use as little or as much as you want. If you don't like it, you don't have to put it in, or just use some garlic powder if you don't have fresh garlic. I just smacked these with the knife just to kind of crush them a little bit. It's easier to get these little skins off, and so I've got these all aside here. Also going to throw in the cherry tomatoes I have here. That's the rest for, not the rest, but a few from my garden. So I'm going to add those in. Now, most tomato sauces, you think about it, the skins usually are removed. This one here, I don't mind the skins on it. When we get to the end, I blend half of it and keep some of the rest chunky. So you really don't, notice the skins at all. But if you don't like them, you can blanch these as if you were doing like a stewed tomato. So bring some water to a boil. Cut the core out, and then put a little X on the bottom, and then you're just going to pop them in the water for just a couple of minutes. Take them out, put them in ice water, and the skin will come off, and you can just peel those off if that's what you want to do. So I've taken all these garlics and chopped them all up. I'm just going to put them in there, just a rough chop, not too small. If you do it too small, what's going to happen is the garlic will burn. We don't want it to burn. On top of this, there goes my heater for the oven. I preheated the oven to 375. As I said, this is a roasted one. I pulled out some of my herbs from the garden yesterday, so this is some oregano that's already drying. I like to dry my herbs for the season for as much as I can, because one, it saves $1, and we all know the cost of everything's going up lately, and two, it just bloody well tastes better. So I'm just going to kind of give this a rough little chomp here. So we're going to add this fresh oregano in there. You can add, again, as much or as little as you like. I didn't put a ton in there because I'm going to add in some thyme and some dried basil. Again, I keep getting these little skins from the garlic in there, but it's not the end of the world if they're in there either. So I've taken, about so much thyme, which is probably about, a tablespoon of fresh. I'm going to strip these off here as best I can and just throw the thyme in there as well. This is also something I'm just started to dry yesterday, so we're going to strip some more off here. So it's all about whatever herbs you like. If you want to put rosemary in, you can do that. I don't use rosemary because personally I don't think it really goes with tomatoes, but if you do, hey, add that in if that's what you want to add in. So fresh herbs, dried herbs, use what you have. In the winter time, you get Romas on sale in the grocery store, and you want to have something that tastes really fresh tasting, like it's come out of the garden. This is actually a really easy one to do. So I've added the thyme in there. Don't worry if you get a few stems, you can always pick those out later. And I like to usually add fresh basil at the end. Unfortunately, I don't have any, so I'm just going to use some dried basil and take one good pinch. So maybe a teaspoon, 3/4 of a teaspoon. And I'm just going to sprinkle that in. And a little bit of salt. So we're just going to use, for now, table salt. You can use whatever you have. And some fresh ground pepper, and again, to your liking. You could probably grind about a good teaspoon in there, or whatever you like, because you don't want to add too much of anything. You can always, like seasoning wise, salt and pepper, because you can always add more at the end. Okay, so basically I have whatever tomatoes I have, Romas and cherries in my sake, and fresh thyme, fresh oregano. If you don't have fresh of either, put the dried in, about a teaspoon of each. I'm going to take a couple of glunks of olive oil, probably about 1/4 cup. We're just going to drizzle the whole top. There we go. And I'm going to grab a tablespoon out of my drawer here. Find it. There we go. And I'm just going to give everything a really good toss up. Now, tomatoes will shrink and cook down because they have a high water content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, for the first, I'll put that back in there. A little oregano's jumping away there. Give everything a good stir. You're all set that way. It doesn't have to be fancy. We're going to put this lid on. I'm going to pop this in the oven at 350 degrees, and I'm going to check it in a half an hour, and every half an hour. So let's get a good look at that. So already it looks delicious. Yeah, so I'll check this back in about a half an hour in the oven at, actually, sorry, I said 350. I'm putting it at 375. I'm going to leave the top on just to kind of get the juices coming out and keep them in there for a little bit. Then we're going to remove the lid, smash everything down a little bit with a potato masher, or you can use a fork or a spoon or leave it, whichever. Give it a good stir, cook it for another hour, and then we're going to see where we're at. So when we get back to that first half an hour point, we'll come back and see where we're at. Okay, so half an hour timer just went off, and I'm just going to take the lid off of this. So you can see things have kind of, we got some liquid here in the bottom, so that's the reason for leaving the lid on. I'm just using my potato masher. I just want to mash everything down. Be careful if you do use cherry tomatoes, because if they pop, they may spit back at you and you don't want to get burned. So yeah, we're just going to kind of gently smash these down. If you see any skins you want to take out, you can use your tongs, or I wouldn't suggest your fingers because you'll burn yourself. So this is just a little bit done. There is a lot of juice here. We're going to continue to cook this down. I got that everything all smashed up pretty good. We want this to the point where most of the liquid is gone. Not all of it, but most of the liquid is gone. And we want these big garlic cloves here just a little bit a little softer. So I'm going to pop this back in the oven for another half an hour, but I'm going to leave the lid off of it this time. And we're going to check back in half an hour to see what stage we're at. We want this kind of caramelized so it looks a little brownishy on the tips of the tomatoes, and everything to be nice and golden colored. That's what we're aiming for. So you can do this just, in any baking dish. I just happen to pick this one. Use as much as you need or as little as you want of tomatoes, the garlic, the herbs, fresh or dried. Store-bought tomatoes or homegrown from your garden, but like I said, this is a really great way to use up what you have in your garden. So yeah, so we're going to come back in half an hour and see where we're at. Alrighty, so this has been cooking for an hour now, and so I did it in 2 half-an-hour increments, as you saw. So this is kind of our final result. You'll see there is a little bit of juice in there, which is what we want. As I said, I'm making a cannaloni, which you can see on the right here. I'm not doing homemade cannelloni. That's something I'll be honest, I've never made. But that's okay. I just buy these prepackaged ones from Costco. This one is beef and veal. I've also had one that's spinach and ricotta that's really delicious. It comes in a pack of 12. No idea what the cost is, but it's nice and easy. So you can do the sauce with anything you like. We can do it with tortellini, ravioli, cannelloni, regular pasta, whatever you enjoy. So I'm going to take about half of this sauce here, and I'm going to put it in my Vitamix. You can just put it in your blender. That'll work just fine. And maybe I'll do a little bit more than half, maybe about 2/3 of it. I do want to leave a little bit of tomato and some chunks and whatnot in the bottom here. And I'm just going to smush that up. Get it so it's still a little bit chunky. There we go. And I'm going to put the lid on the food processor, or Vitamix. You can use a food processor for this if you like, and I'm just going to blend this for a minute. Literally, that's it, about like 5 seconds. We really don't need this to be too long on there. It's just enough to blend everything together. Now I'm going to take this sauce and I'm going to dump it in with the chunky stuff that's already in there. You see this turns kind of orange, but it's going to taste just delicious. Now, I'm going to be doing another video soon of this roasted vegetable Alberta tomato cream soup, and this recipe is kind of a kickoff of this one here that I'm going to be doing. So it's very similar ingredients. I do add more ingredients to it, but you'll see that when that one comes, and that'll be sometime in the next few weeks, I'm sure. So I've got this all mixed together. Now, like I said, if you decide to do something other than cannelloni, some other type of pasta, just cook that ahead of time. Fresh pasta certainly tastes the best, but whatever pasta you have is great. These ones, I have these ones in the freezer. I'm just going to pop them in. There's just 2 of us eating tonight, so I'm doing 3 apiece, which is probably more than we need, but that's all right. So I'm just going to set this in there. I'm going to use my handy dandy tongs and kind of cover them, coat them and cover them up there, and shimmy these to the bottom. There's a lot of sauce, but you can use a little bit of fresh bread to sop it up. Some of this will soak in to the noodles, the cannelloni here, and I just want to make sure that those are generally covered. Set that to the side. I like to put some cheese on the top too, make it a little bit nicer. I'm just going to poke that down a little bit better there. There we go. You can also use a spoon just to scoop a little bit if you need to. Okay. And I'm going to put some Parmesan cheese on the top. Good storage tip. I use a vacuum sealer and store them in these bags. Most of my cheeses, and they last a heck of a lot longer than otherwise. You know, there's lots of tips people use. Some people wrap with tin foil. Some people just put it in a Ziploc bag. Some people keep it in the original container. Or whatever it came in. Me, I find honestly in all the different tricks I've tried through the years, this one for me is the best one. I buy cheeses, usually when it goes on sale. This one I got a bar of mozzarella, and I've cut it, used some of it already, cut it in half and put it in a Ziploc bag here. So I'm just going to take half of that off, break some up, and however much you like. You know, if you want just a little bit, add a little bit. If you want a lot, add a lot. This is going to be, maybe, I don't know, about a cup. You can also use pre-shredded cheese if you want, and this is just a cheaper way to do it. I prefer it tastes a little bit better as far as I'm concerned, but you know, whatever you like. So if you want to add mozzarella on, add it. If you don't. You know, I say that in a lot of my recipes, but it really is about, you know, making the recipe to your liking, to what you enjoy and what you want to feed your family. So, you know, I'm all about economics and trying to save, you know, a buck. Cost of everything nowadays has just gone insane. So this is a nice, healthy meal, fresh, good way to use up other ingredients, and we're all set. So we're going to pop this back in the oven, probably about 15 or 20 minutes. I've turned the oven down to 350. So there you go, and we're going to pop this in the oven and let you know what it looks like when we're all done. Okay, so this is done. Beeper just went. Like I said, I put it in for 20 minutes to just get that browned up a little bit. Not even browned up, but just get that cheese melted and the pasta cooked a little. So to me, this is perfect. Now, if you want to brown the cheese up a little bit and that's what you like, you can do that. So this is all done. Just going to stop our, the oven there. Now, if you want, you can drizzle a little more cheese on it, but look, this is delicious and beautiful and bubbly. So I'm going to let this cool for about 5 or 10 minutes, and we're going to plate it up. Okay, so I've let this cool now, and time to eat. I'm starving today. So we're just going to kind of cut through this cheese a little bit. We've got one. I just want to feel where each of these are. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think. So I'm just going to take a couple for now, but just so you can see how nice this has turned out. These cannellonis are all set. Perfect, perfect, perfect. I think 2 is going to be ideally enough. So I'm going to do that. Just get a scoop here. And, well, sorry, dropping things all over the place. And didn't mean to make that noise there, but anyhow, there we go. So we put the tossed sauce on the top. I put some just some ciabatta bread with this with a little bit of butter. So there is roasted tomato sauce with cannelloni. So like I said, do up whatever pasta you like with this sauce. If you don't want any chunk in it, you can just blend the whole sauce and mix it up once your pasta is cooked. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. Please try this recipe. Tell me what you think. And I will be back shortly with a few more recipes for you. So stay tuned. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And we'll see you soon. Take care.